Hi, I'm Winona Ryder, and I'm here with Elle UK, and we are looking back at the 90s. I just actually found a couple of gigantic boxes of my mixtapes because I saved everything. My parents are archivists / hoarders, and I think that I've inherited that, where it's very difficult for me to let go of things, especially things like mixtapes, because we used to tape off the radio. And I feel for the generations that didn't get to experience that, because there's nothing like it. I did once, and I put one side of it was not music. It was just an old movie that I just held the thing up because it was like an old movie that I knew the person appreciated. I remember kind of the first one that I ran out and got the record was Betty Blue. And then I remember I ran out and got the album of The Mission, which I just thought when I was doing the second Beetlejuice, we were all sitting in the tent, in between stuff. And I was so surprised because everyone was like, I remember going and getting that. It had the best, it was like a choir of children from this part of, South America. It was just incredible. But also just Tom Waits scored Night on Earth. That's one of my favorite scores. And I remember listening to the piano score. But that was huge. I love soundtracks. When it's good, it's so good. And I often listen to just the piece of, even the Falcon and the Snowman score. It's like Pat Metheny and David Bowie. And it just was so perfect for that movie. It was literally just, so perfect. Vangelis, I just, Blade Runner, my God. The scores that Quincy Jones was a part of early on. I know he was a part of the Sweet Smell of Success soundtrack. And those movies, the Bernard Herrmann scores were just and then he ended up scoring Rumblefish and The Outsiders. And so there's so many, and it's just beautiful. It's such a gift to the world. I know it's still still a thing, those big festivals. I always, to be totally honest, very claustrophobic, and there's a lot of lore and urban myths about involving porta potties that were traumatizing just to hear. I didn't go as often as I probably would have liked, but I remember that whole Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, The Laws. There was a great band called Saint Etienne that I loved. Their album totally rescued me when I was going through a really hard time when I was making a movie in Portugal when I was 20. And I was just walking down the street. They used to sell albums on the street in Lisbon, and I bought it, and it just it got me through that time. Saint Etienne. I wonder if they're still together. I've never done karaoke. Yeah.
Mine's usually Walking on Broken Glass, to be honest with you.
Oh, Annie Lennox. That would be insane because she's one of the greatest singers in the world. I love her so much. Huge influence on me, wearing the suits too, come to think of it. Bugsy Malone and Annie Lennox I have to thank. I mean, she obviously looks gorgeous in anything. And I specifically, though, remember the story behind that dress, which was that she had just finished a shoot and she heard Radiohead were playing, and she was dying. She loved them. She's a huge fan. So she threw that on, and she wasn't expecting to be photographed in it, and she didn't realize it was see-through. I heard that's the story she tells, but it became sort of like this big moment, I remember. But I mean, she looks stunning. And my relationship to fashion and pop culture in the 90s was probably not what a lot of people think it was. If I went to an event, I would wear a designer often. I wore a lot of vintage. I was working really quite a lot in the 90s, so I was often just on sets and wearing just jeans and a t-shirt. You know, when you're in your 20s, you try to, I don't know, you almost tried to do what wasn't trendy, because a lot of the trends were, I'm sorry, just, they were awful. I just wanted to be my own self. And I was also very into recycling and showing people that you can look good and not spend a ton of money. Like, things are not meant to be worn once. That was always what drove me nuts about the event. I remember rewearing things a lot, and apparently that was looked down upon sometimes. I thought it was a great thing. You know, if you have a great dress that you love, wear it as many times as you want and can. I still firmly of that belief. I collect t-shirts. I have a t-shirt from every show I've ever been to, which started very young. My dad took me to a lot of the early, like late 70s, early 80s, you know, punk rock, or the Clash, I remember. I have a t-shirt that I can't wear anymore, so it's frames from their 1980 tour. And then I also inherited people's t-shirt collections. So it is something that I do collect. I also collect Dickies. I wear them a lot, and I definitely sported them in the 90s. I also definitely collect certain era, usually men's clothing. I do have a lot of my costumes from like Little Women, and I would go to the warehouses with the brilliant costume designer friend, Colleen Atwood, and I would buy sort of these calico turn of the century. Usually I'd buy them a little bit too big so I could just hem them and wear them as just sort of a loose dress. I mean, I started working with her, I think I was still a teenager, on Edward Scissorhands. She's, her mind is absolutely stunning, and I am just like forever in awe of her. I think one of the best we have. Andre Leon Talley was, I literally, every time that I got to be around him, in my head I was like, be present, experience this, remember this. This is as fabulous as it gets. This is everything. He's everything. He was just a beautiful person. He also was like, no, that doesn't work. And I was like, yes, sir, I will change it immediately. I remember he came to the Dracula set and we did a whole shoot there, but I was in my costume. Okay, he might have altered the costume a little, but that's okay because he's Andre Leon Talley. He might be the reason it won Best Costume at the Oscars. I still love a men's suit. I remember that suit because at the time, Giorgio Armani gave it to me, and which was really just super nice, and you know, and I wore it I wore it a lot. I wore it blazer a lot, but I don't think I realized how big it was on me, but you know, I was a kid that was like very obsessed with Bugsy Malone and men's suits. And so even when I was like even when I didn't have any money and was in school, we would always shop at the Salvation Army, and I was always picking out like the boys' 3-piece suits because I wanted to be like the kids in Bugsy Malone. I don't know if that was intentional. People have to remember that we didn't use makeup and hair and for a long time, or stylists. But I do think I did for that. And so that must have gotten snuck on, because I don't think I'm a big into frosted lipstick. All during the 90s, I cut my own hair. And I remember being incredibly surprised and flattered that my Reality Bites haircut became pop, or, girls would go to and bring that picture in. And I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I literally just like put my head upside down and went like that with the scissors. And I did that for most of, any of my short hair. You would usually start with the bangs, and then you unfortunately have to take it all off. They were all very kind. It was my first time. I didn't realize like there was 4 cameras and we only did like 1 take. So I was like sitting there waiting for us to like turn around and do my coverage, and they're like, oh no, you're done. And I was like, what? It was kind of terrifying, but it was fun. Everyone was so nice. Yeah, I think there's some sort of rule that if you have brown eyes, you can't wear blue eyeshadow. That's what I was always told. I don't know if I never tried it. I just remember growing up, all I could afford was like that pencil, that pink pencil. It's a Maybelline, I believe. And you just light with a lighter the tip of it, and then you put it on. Goes along with like beer and egg whites in your hair, which is like disgusting, but it's what you did. Again, this was before the days of like glam or stylists or anything. I remember that dress because it was really easy and I didn't have to wear a bra. And I'm wearing this like beautiful little locket that Daniel gave me. And it's the night of the Age of Innocence premiere. And I'm with Dave, who my lovely, lovely ex-boyfriend, who is just the greatest guy, sweetest guy. And it was really a fun night. I don't have much on my face. I think I literally had, like, I took a shower, put some moisturizer on, and am I wearing lipstick? I don't know. Like, yeah. But I was also like 20. You could do that. It's one of my favorite movies and favorite experiences. And as for like just taking a step back, and like it did do a lot for me, because when you're a teenage actress, you are constantly hearing about how hard it is to cross over and to adult roles. Like, you cannot like go from like being a senior in high school to like a district attorney, or there's things that you just can't do, or even like a rookie cop at 19. Or there's just not a lot. And Age of Innocence was sort of like this incredible opportunity to sort of graduate through that rough patch that we all feared so much. So it was such a gift. It was really a gift to me. I covered a lot of teenage ground. Geez, a lot of teen angst ground. I did some great movies as a teenager that I'm profoundly proud of and grateful for. Thank you so much for watching.